Bruce Springsteen, Us, Getting Past You and Me to Build a More Loving Relationship, Goop Press. Couples often experience conflict where small disagreements escalate, turning into heated arguments, leaving both partners feeling emotionally drained. Us, Getting Past You and Me to Build a More Loving Relationship delves into the field of interpersonal neurobiology, examining complex emotional habits and their development in the context of early relationships. The book explains the concept of co-regulation, how the amygdala triggers fight-or-flight responses in stress, and introduces the adaptive child within each of us. Learn how neuroplasticity allows for change and growth within a relationship as author Bruce Springsteen shares Dan and Julia's story, where they learn to reframe their relationship as us rather than a you and me.
Breaking free from toxic behaviors. How our earliest relationships shape our stress responses, how neuroplasticity allows us to rewire our brains, and why it's important to approach conflicts with our partners as us instead of I. If you're in a romantic relationship, you might recognize the following scenario. It all starts with something trivial, such as a dish left unwashed in the sink. You politely inquire about why your partner hasn't cleaned it, only for them to snap back that they haven't gotten to it yet. This mundane interaction quickly spirals out of control, and soon you're both feeling tense, defensive, and yelling hurtful things at each other. As if possessed, you forget that the person in front of you is the same one who laughs at your jokes and holds you when you're down. Your rational brain has checked out. And all your worst emotional habits have taken over. Why does this happen? According to the field of interpersonal neurobiology, which studies how our brains work in the context of our social connections, people in close relationships tend to influence each other's stress levels. When your partner's stress hormone cortisol spikes, yours are likely to follow suit. This also works in reverse, where when your partner is relaxed, you're likely to feel relaxed too. However, this is only a fraction of the picture. Our stress reactions, whether they involve yelling, lying, or retreating into silence, are shaped by our earliest relationships. For most of us, this means we learned our stress responses by modeling our parents. When things are going smoothly, most of us behave like wise adults. We think with our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for measured and complex cognition. We remain rational, flexible, warm and forgiving. We understand that a dirty dish in the sink isn't the end of the world. But when we come under stress, another part of our brain, the amygdala, takes over and stimulates a fight-or-flight response. In these situations, we focus solely on self-preservation. We don't think things through. Instead, we act instinctively. This is when our adaptive child takes over. Our adaptive child is a creature of emotional habit, using all the stress responses that we have learned since we were young. Regardless of whether this means being cruelly bossy, a people-pleasing doormat, or something in between, our adaptive children's thought patterns and behaviors are always rigid. Sometimes, when we argue with our partners, our wise adult selves exit the room, leaving two adaptive children to battle it out. All of our worst habits and most destructive emotional impulses are suddenly triggered. However, the good news is that just because our adaptive child automatically takes over, it doesn't always have to be like that. Previously, many scientists thought the neural pathways in our brains were set in stone. It was thought that these pathways calcified our habits, behaviors, and traits, and hence became part of our basic characteristics. However, now that scientists understand neuroplasticity, they know that these neural pathways can be rewired and reformed. In other words, we're capable of phenomenal change. So what do dirty dishes have to do with it all? When your argument got out of control, you and your partner were no longer thinking like wise adults. Wise adults know that it's more important to preserve the relationship, us, than score individual points, I. You were both focused on winning, hence, you were both losers. It's possible to break free from toxic behaviors, approach conflicts as wise adults, and reframe your relationship in terms of us rather than I. Parenting your adaptive child. The book explores how our childhood adaptive strategies can affect our relationships as adults. It tells the story of Dan, who learned to lie as a way of avoiding his mother's anger, and how his lying habit threatened his marriage with Julia. To save their relationship, Dan learned how to parent his adaptive child by identifying its root cause, practicing relational mindfulness, and rewiring his neural pathways. The book emphasizes the importance of understanding and parenting our adaptive child to create healthy relationships. Poisoning the ecology of romance. A healthy and balanced romantic relationship is one that operates on an us consciousness rather than a you and me consciousness. Toxic behavior that stems from a core negative image of your partner can poison the ecology of your relationship and make conflict resolution impossible. To improve the ecology of your romance, it's recommended that you resist hanging on to your partner's core negative image, redistribute negative behavior by acknowledging shared flaws, and establish shared objectives that lead to constructive conversation. By abandoning power struggles and embracing a cooperative approach, you can empower your relationships. Healing after betrayal. After a critical breach of trust in a relationship, breaking the you and me dynamic and rebuilding as a partnership can be possible through open communication and self-awareness. When betrayal shatters the relationship, the world as we knew it comes tumbling down with it, leaving us feeling disoriented and vulnerable. Dr. Ronnie Janoff Bowman, a psychologist, compares the experience to falling through a wall and becoming wary of everything. However, there is a silver lining to this traumatic turn of events: it offers an opportunity to rebuild a stronger partnership. The rock bottom moment is inevitable in any relationship and could either be caused by a single event or a gradual wearing down. To rebuild the broken you and me dynamic requires trust and effort from both parties. Dina and Juan are a couple in a decade-long relationship, and Juan has just discovered Dina's affair, leaving him devastated and angry. Fortunately, they are willing to work through the issue together. To help them rebuild, their counselor recommends the feedback wheel, a 4-part conversational technique developed by therapist Janet Hurley. It involves telling your partner what happened, the internal narrative you've created about it, how it made you feel, and what could help you heal. By doing so, you're not only sharing your pain and vulnerability with your partner but are also guiding them towards helping you. Juan also discovers that his internal narratives, shaped by his violent father, affects his approach to the relationship. He tends to keep quiet to maintain peace, but this behavior has been detrimental to their relationship. By establishing a new narrative that advocates for his needs, he transforms their partnership dynamic from you and me to us. In conclusion, breaking the trust of a relationship has its silver lining as it presents an opportunity for a stronger partnership. By utilizing open communication and self-awareness, it's possible to rebuild the broken you and me dynamic into a partnership.
Healthy relationships require partners to adopt an us consciousness, putting aside ego and embracing empathy and understanding. It's crucial to recognize and manage your own adaptive child and avoid engaging with your partner's core negative image. By practicing relational mindfulness, taking the respect test, and undergoing corrective emotional experiences, couples can become more attuned and help each other heal. The feedback wheel is a valuable tool that enables partners to express and understand their feelings, requests, and needs more effectively. To create and maintain a loving relationship, it's essential that couples work together to rise above past traumas, communicate openly, and problem-solve collaboratively.